Good morning everyone. Radhe Krishna. Myself Kumar Khushbu. I am B.Ed second sem trainee. Today I am going to teach you a chapter in the science and technology which is also very precious as well as a demanding subject in nowadays. Also, the thing which we had studied in our last class is what is a solution, and along with that there were many other questions as well as definitions that we had discussed with the help of the chart paper in our previous class. So, before moving towards our next topic of today's class, let us revise something related or as well we had already studied in our previous class. So the very first question which I am going to ask you is, what is a solution? So who is going to reply this question? Yes, you. Go ahead. Very good. It means a solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. Did everyone got it? Yes? Very well. Should I repeat it once again? Okay. Okay, then hear it once again. A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two. How much? Of two or more than two substances. Then it can be said as the solution is formed or we had got as a result as a form of solution. Now, after that we have discussed about the concentration. So, my second question is, tell the formula of the finding the concentration of solution. So, what is the formula for finding the concentration of solution? Who is going to reply this question? Yes, you. Last second bench. Go ahead. Very well said. It means you all are recalling whatever we had studied in our previous class. Here, the answer of the formula for the concentration of solution is amount of solute by amount of solvent. So, what was it? Once again, absolutely correct. Amount of solute by amount of solution. So now we are going to read as well as learn something in it only, but about it in a deep way, and we will be learning in forward of this topic in our class today. That means the title or the topic of our class for today is separation or separating the components, as well as we can also say it as separating the components of a mixture. So let me write it first of all. So here we are going to learn today about separating the components of a mixture. That means first of all let us know about the separation. What does the separation mean? Separation, that means when we separate anything in two parts or more than two parts from each other, then it can be said as it is separated. For example, as I am holding this scale, and if I break this scale in between and it turns in two pieces, that means at the process end we can say it as this scale has been separated from each other because or due to the break which had occurred or we had done in it. So separating the components of a mixture. Now here components of mixture we are going to separate. It can be also seen or we can here talk it about as when we are taking lots of For example, you can see in this box of colors there are lots of chalks like of white color, green color, blue color, as you all can see it here, blue color, white color, and also oranges, skinish color, yellow color. And if I had asked to separate only particular or one type of chalk from this box of chalks, then what I have to do in the end for getting my solution? That means if someone asks to me that I have to separate the chalk of white color, that means I have to go only with the chalks which are of white color. For example, they are of white color, so I can pick it up from the boxes. But if I am picking this color chalk which is greenish, then should it be a group in a formation at the end? No. Why so? Because you already can see that they both are of different colors. So separating means I am only picking white chalks all from these boxes, as no white chalks are left in it. So now you can see only white chalks as have been separated from the boxes of a chalk. So hence here as it is said, separating the components of a mixture. Similarly, as the box was full of colorful chalks, in the same way mixtures are full of various chemicals as well as various components as well as various other materials, and also in the gaseous form also we can observe it that they are not only of one type of gaseous, they are also mixed as well as they are fixed or number or multiple of components mixed in it. So while separating them from each other, we can even say it as that the separation is must for separating two different solutions, mixtures, components from each other as well as among their own selves. For example, as I had taken chalk box which we had just seen a second before, if I was asked to pick only white color chalk, due to which I was only taking white chalks from that box, that means I was separating only one type of component from the whole box of the components. Similarly, we can even see all these components and separations formations by different types of methods. For example, as I was picking chalk with the help of my hand, that means it can be and it is considered as a hand picking method. In the similar way, when we pick stones or such type of other materials from rice and also from the wheat in the beginning of a farmhouse or at the beginning in the cropping process, then it can be said as that method which is shewed with the help of air, whether it can be of wind air or whether it can be of artificial air, then that process is called as the sieving method. In the same way, for liquids also, there are some methods which are called or considered as a filtration method. For example, if I have to filter water and kerosene from each other, as we can observe that they both are mixed with each other, but for filtration, for taking water from the oil as well as oil from the water, we need certain type of methods, and for that we need filtration method in that. Why so? Because that filtration method is only are able to separate these both components, as water will be separated from the oil. In the similar way, oil too will be get separated from the water. Now about the hand pickings we had already seen, also sieving also we had discussed, and after that what we had discussed just now? Yes, absolutely correct. So these three types of filtrations as well as methods we had discussed here in a deeply. Now we are going to see about how can we obtain colored components as well as from blue or black ink blue, as we can even say it as we are going to perform or we are going to see, not perform, because we are going to see it on a flashcard paper, that whether how it turns or how it can be seen that when they both are separated with each other. In the very beginning of our first lecture of this chapter, we had already discussed about the mixture, which for showing it we had used clayish water and mud as well as stone and also water. Similar way for solution also we had used transparent glass, and after that sugar, and after that water. In the same way, now we are going to see about the evaporation. Evaporation is also one type of method for separating some substances which are very well or very prettily, or we can even say it as they are only or got completely soluble or solved in a liquid form. So before starting it, evaporation. So now we are going to study about it, what it happens and how it happens with the help of a small, what we call it as? Yes, exactly that one. Now as we can see here, evaporation, that is, in evaporation there is heat which is must for evaporation. If heat is not occupied or is not reserved on it, then it's obvious nothing is gonna to change, as well as gaseous form will not be formed in it. Also water will remain as it was, and similarly we can even say that the things will remain as they were in the very beginning or in the starting of our observation as well as our experiments. Here, as we are going to see about evaporation, what does it actually mean? That means in this, here we can say that we have taken a beaker. You can even perform it as well as you can even see it in your laboratory or laboratory classes in your science and technology subjects whenever you have in your school. Now as we can see it as, this is a beaker in which some water is already kept, and after that this is a stove like thing can be said, because heat is given or passed through it to that beaker so that the beaker can get temperature and it can boil or it can form the water into other forms by changing its states as well here as water and then watch glass. On the upper side of this something like vessel shape which is also like transparent or nearly to it is used as a watch scale. Now on that we had kept here a ink. Why? Because here we are seeing that whether ink is mixed in the dye and we have to separate them both with each other, and for that the liquid part which is present in that ink is getting vaporized, as you all can see how it is going up on above of that watch glass, and the ink is remaining as it is in the bottom of that watch glass. Now as we are giving heat, it turns red and then water gets evaporated as well as heat or temperature is getting inside this water, due to which this water gets high temperature, and because of that as a result the ink which we had kept on the upper part of this is getting higher on, or it can even be said as the ink part or the dye which is present in this ink part is getting vaporized and the dye form is remaining as it is, because the vaporized can be only taken or only happens in the form of water or liquid which can be vaporized. If it is not able or not to be done in a vaporized form, then no matter how hard you will heat it or you will apply temperature on it, nothing is going to happen to it. So here as applying heat or fire we get water temperature high, and after that on the watch glass its temperature also increases. After that the ink remains as it is in the bottom of that watch glass, and later on the vapors are seen on above of the watch glass as a beaker. We can see it as, that means ink is a mixture in this activity of dye in water. What we can know, that ink is a mixture of dye in water. We can separate the volatile components from its non-volatile solute by this method. What does you mean by? That means we can separate, as we are seeing that vaporization form, vapor is going upside, it's getting separated from the ink part which is remaining in the lower or the bottom of that watch glass. That means we can separate the volatile component from its non-volatile component or solute by this evaporation method. Now let us begin with our next topic. Also, before going to it, let us see that what are the applications which we had studied just now. Along with that, after applications and evaporation is as when it turns into a gaseous form or vaporized form, it goes up and the rest or the solid particles remains as it is. So now we are going to talk about the centrifugation. Centrifugation, in it we are going to see about the applications as used in diagnostics laboratories for blood and urine test. Obviously, without the process of centrifugation, the used in diagnostic, that is diagnostic laboratory for blood and urine tests, centrifugation is very much useful, and without centrifugation it is not possible for the diagnostics in laboratory for testing blood and urine. In the same way, centrifugation method is also used in dairies and home to separate butter from cream. As we all know, in milk there exist creams as well as butters, and when we have to separate cream from the butter, we use the centrifugation method. Without the use of centrifugation method, butter from cream can't be separated, because before our initial stage it remains as it is in the beginning of the formation of curd. So centrifugation method is very useful in it. Now after that, used in washing machines to squeeze out water from wet clothes. That means for drying our clothes, centrifugation is very useful, because by the use of centrifugation method, all the clothes get dry and the water gets evaporated from that cloth. So they were the applications of centrifugation method which we had learned just now. Now after that, here we are going to see how can we separate a mixture. How a mixture can be separated, we are going to see it in a detail. As you can see that here in this picture also, it's stems and then evaporated and then it's china dish. After that, solidification ammonium. What is used here? It is solidified ammonium chloride in the staple, and then here this part is said to be as inverted funnel, and later on the top we had kept a cotton plug, and also the vapors of a communal lesions of ammonium chloride, that is vapors of ammonium chloride. Now mixture of ammonium chloride and salt is kept in the middle form or in the bottom of this funnel type machine, as well as we can say it is material. So here we are separating ammonium chloride and salt by sublimation. So on this flask paper we can see, or flash paper we can see that vapors of ammonium chloride and cotton plug, inverted funnel, solidified ammonium chloride, china dish, mixture of ammonium chloride and salt, they both or they all are very important and very much important for carrying out this process. Also for separating a mixture which has or which is mixed with an ammonium chloride or sodium ammonium chloride form. By heating it, the same thing happens again, but here as we had put a cotton plug on the top, that means this china gate or china dish which we had placed in it, in the bottom of that plate or dish we can see mixture of ammonium chloride and salt, as in that sodium ammonium chloride will go a little bit upper than the bottom material, and it will be fixed or stretched, or even can be said that it gets stuck with the upper part of this vessel. Now after this we can even say it as that we had learned today about the separation as well as the separated a mixture and so on. Also let us see one more flask paper for understanding one more topic, separation of dyes in black ink using chromatography. That is, this is a simple or a non-even putting without any other materials. Simply it's just a strip of a filter paper, nothing else than that, just a strip of a filter paper. Then line drawn by a pencil. Here it can be observed in a dotted form, as you can see here. All these dotted forms are the line drawn by pencil, and later on here the dots which we are seeing here are the spot of ink. What are they? They are the spot of inks. Now in this part, as we are seeing that the glass rod, the upper part is known as by the name of glass rod. Similarly here we had pinned or clips are used on both sides of this paper. So paper frisk or clips, again the thing which we are using for sewing this activity is known as jar, and later on a strip of filter paper, and so on. Spot of ink, which we had already seen in the A solution or experiment. Now spot of ink equals to all these dotted parts, and in the bottom of this vessel we had kept water, and also here by doing this process or by performing this process clearly in a similar way, we can even see that separation of dyes in black ink using chromatography. And after this, here our solutions or the questions are getting to be ended. So let me ask you a few questions related to the topic which we had studied today. So my very first question for today's class is, what had we got in the end of the evaporation? Yes, you go ahead. Very well said. That means in the end of evaporation we are getting only the solid or the particles which remain in the bottom or at a stable position in that process. Now my second question is, what was used in the separation of a mixture? So who is going to reply this question? Yes, you go ahead. Very well said. That means separation of ammonium chloride is taking place in it when mixture of ammonium chloride and salt remains in the bottom of that flask, and the sodified ammonium chloride goes little bit upper on that flask. So here ends our today's class. Now let me ask you a few more questions related to our topic which we had discussed today or which we had learned today in a theoretical form. So as you can see here that some fill in the blanks and true or false are given, and now we are going to see this fill in the blanks as well as true or false. As very first question is, a dash is a heterogeneous mixture. Who knows its answer? Yes, you go ahead. Very good. Its answer is colloid. That is, a colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. The second question is, most of the dense substances are not dense. What is the answer of this question? Yes, very good, very good. Most of the not substances are natural. What we can call it as, most of the natural substances are not a pure material. Isn't it? Yes. So the third question is, heterogeneous mixtures can be separated by the simple physical methods. Like, which are the methods which were used for separating these all materials? And their answers are, I had already explained it in the very beginning of our class. They are hand picking, as well as sieving, as well as filtration. There are three methods. Now let's move towards our true or false. Sometimes the solid particles pass through filtration. Whether it's true or false? Yes, who is going to reply? Yes, you. Go ahead. Very good. Its answer is true. Again, second question is, chroma is in Greek means water. Does chroma in Greek means water? Who is going to reply this? Yes, you go ahead. Very good. Its answer is true because chroma word in Greek means color. Okay. Now let's move towards our third question. Centrifugation is also one of the methods which are used for separation or for the filtration. So who is going to reply this? Yes, you go ahead. Very well said. That means its answer is true. Why? Because centrifugation is also one type of method due